Hello and welcome to a snowy Königssee in Bavaria. We're in the deep south of Germany, close to the Austrian border, and on a morning where the snow is starting to fall and settle in the track. We are ready for the first of two heats in the 8th and final race in the FIBT World Cup for Women's Skeleton, which is also the European Championships. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me is John Morgan. And John, this is the oldest artificial ice track on the planet.
Yeah, built in 1970, and this has really changed the sport. It was more designed for luge, which in Bavaria, here in Berchtesgaden, this is the capital of luge. But start record, as expected, Marina Giardoni from Switzerland. She does that on every track she's on. She's a great athlete, but then she's got to drive. And the challenge, the 4 S's coming up right now. Watch these 4 curves. Right, left, right, left, and then you got an exit out slingshot effect, we like to say, in the part of the track where you accelerate. And this is a chicane, a long chicane. It's not straight. A lot of challenges for the athletes, and then you come into this big Kreisel here in Königssee. You exit into another labyrinth. This is a big challenge down here. We're going to see some athletes on their sides, bottom part of the track, near the C curve, into the finish. Big Echo Wand, G's. Now you go uphill a little bit into the finish line. This is a very challenging track for all the 5 disciplines for FIBT.
Well, with the snow adding an extra dimension, these 24 sliders in the women's field will have their work cut out for them. Elizabeth Yarnold of Great Britain and Noelle Pikus-Pace of the USA have been the standouts this season. The battle between them has swung to and fro. World champion Shelley Rudman lies 3rd in the World Cup rankings. And Janine Flock of Austria, what a breakout year she is having. She is 4th ahead of the best of the German girls. Anja Huber, this is her local track, Anja, and she and Marianne Thies were in 3rd and 2nd place respectively last year behind Noelle Pikus-Pace. Well, the World Cup rankings are unlikely to change enormously, apart from maybe the little battles like between the 2 Australians there, but they will go towards deciding who starts in which order for the Winter Olympic competition. And so every point through the season, pre-Olympics, is absolutely vital. Well, there is Anja Huber, local girl, local track, local weather. And it's a nice benefit, John Morgan, to be sleeping in your own bed and to have your friends and family around. That little bit of extra relaxation.
Yeah, and this is the warm-up for Sochi. You know, a lot of athletes have already qualified into the games. Everybody knows in the field who's going, who's not. And, you know, it's on a very challenging track. I will say that the weather in Sochi will be a lot like what we see here today. I think we're going to have a lot of this warm little mixture of snow and rain.
The good thing at Sochi, of course, it's got a roof all the way down, so that shouldn't affect the sliding, especially the rain. Michelle Steele of Australia will be the first to go, ahead of Noelle Pikus-Pace. And after the first couple, we will see just how much of an effect the snow is going to have. 24 sliders in the field, including 2 World Cup debutants. And the first job will be to get into the top 20. First led on the ice, Michelle Steele of Australia, this 27-year-old from tropical Queensland, Bundaberg, the rum capital of Aussie.
Two-handed start, the only athlete in the field with the two-handed start.
Let's see what she gets. The start is all covered, then they come out into the snowy section of the track to start. 5:06, the start record, 4:95.
She's ranked number 12 in points. Bronze medal at the first event in Calgary. Disqualified from one of the events in Lake Placid. And since then, her best finish was a 5th in Park City, 8th last time out in Eagles.
Good run down the straightaway. This is the Kreisel corner, full 360 degrees.
This is where the challenge is, man. It's
very skiddy down at the bottom in the labyrinth.
Not going to be anybody get too clean down through that part of the track. Good form here on the bottom. This is our rabbit working with the fresh ice. Most of the track covered. Finish time, 53:54.
Well, the track record is a 52:01. That will definitely not have been set in snowy conditions.
Well, can't tell if it's a good run or not.
No, nor can she. Certainly the exit of the Kreisel is going to be a challenge. And at the start...
Yeah, that two-handed start looks like she slipped a little bit coming off the blocks. Look at her feet inside the line and behind her. That'll be different than the one-handed start. Now watch this action. You know, we're going to see some awesome pictures in here all day. Look at the way they try and maneuver around this tricky part on the exit of Kreisel. I don't know if there's another track in the world that puts as much pressure on the athletes as this exit of Kreisel here in Königssee.
Yeah, very difficult to get that right. Kreisel full 360 degrees, 3 pressures in it. Noelle Piker's pace of the USA. Noelle started the season in blinding form and has continued 3 wins so far. Arch rival Lizzie Yarnold has 4 now. The battle again, John Morgan, could be between them. It's a shorter start here than we had last week, and that plays to Noelle's strengths.
Yeah, she's 1600ths behind at the start, the speed. You know, she always has a deficient start time. 23rd best start in St. Moritz, and she won the event. But that, of course, isn't where they're coming down in 1 minute 10 or 12. Here they're coming down sub 50-second time. So her emphasis is to be straight, and she's 2500ths back. And that's not a good sign for Noelle at this part of the track. Second in World Cup points, 3 victories on the tour this year. 115.6 is the speed that
better speed.
Now it's down to 11. And that was clean.
Good exit. And that extra body weight that she carries, being one of the tallest athletes, really helps.
Boy, she is a magician on the bottom part of the track. Wow, she was 2500ths in the red before Kreisel. Look at this, she picked up a second, almost a second in time from before Kreisel down. And this is no cakewalk below Kreisel. It's difficult.
That shows if you get the exit to Kreisel right, it really sets you up for the bottom of the run. She looks very happy with that.
Another day at the office.
You guys, thanks for watching. Love you, Grandpa.
Okay, she gives up all this time at the start. Look at her feet outside the start grooves. A little awkward looking as she gets on, but once she's on the sled, there might not be anybody better in the world at finding the lines. Look at her eyes. The mother of 2. And look at right through the line perfectly, the 2 blue lines. A little low on that third one. Setting herself up. I said no one's going to get there through there clean. She did.
Good run from Noelle Piker's pace. She has the lead. Next up is our start record holder here, Marina Giardoni, talking to her coach, Mickey Grunberger, yesterday. He said she started her first year in World Cup with only 35 slides ever. Second year, only 80. When she started this season, she'd had over 300 slides. And he said it's just a huge step of development and experience.
If you want to look at an athlete in the sport, this is it right here. She has really set the pace. Start record! Wow, she's done it every time. Look at what she went in wrong, on the wrong side into that curve 1. She went from right to left. You want to go from middle or the left side to get on the take on early. And, you know, she's, as you say, she's not experienced. And her 2800 lead is still there. And she's got some issues. Now watch her hit the lines. And does she come right in the middle of the lines here? Yep. Below line, she's below that second line.
4.5 kilometers an hour slower than Noelle Piker's pace, and that shows immediately.
Well, this is a on-the-job training, you could say, for Giardoni, but boy, she exudes so much confidence. You see her on the track now, smiling. She knows she's in the mix. She knows she's the best athlete in the first 50 meters. She's young. She's a second off the pace. That's what not knowing how to drive a sled is. I mean, Noelle Piker's pace has been around since 2004. Over 10 years of sliding. She's got 3.
Well, she's beating herself up because of those mistakes. But as Mickey always says, give me an athlete and I'll turn them into a slider. That's the way it should work.
Start off with the athlete. Well, she's got to start. She needs the down times. Here we are. Look at these beautiful pictures.
So high on the last pressure, it caught her and then threw her out the bottom of the Kreisel.
The Kalstein curve, and look at this, she's laid, and oh, this is...
That's painful too. You take the hits there with the shoulders. These girls are black and blue under their race suits. Janine Flock of Austria on the podium, the first time ever for women's Austrian skeleton last week in Eagles. And And that was her second podium finish of the season. She took a silver medal in the first race in Lake Placid as well.
She had a 7th in Calgary, a 16th in Park City, a 13th in Lake Placid. Then since then, 2nd, 5th, 4th, and 3rd.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's got things figured out. And she's a great starter. Look at her technique. Her start is up there. Not Giardoni's, but she's only 500ths ahead of, that reference is to Noelle Pica's pace, up to 12, the 16.8. All those references, if you want to keep box scores, those times and the splits. Now we know she's probably going to be in the red as she exits Kreisel.
She had a good run down the straightaway, little slower than Noelle, but the best speed apart from the American we've seen. Steering hard into Kreisel, gets the exit right though.
Oh, lot
Big
of
skid.
stretching. You hear all that noise. Still in the green though. Now here comes the red. As expected, speed on the bottom. Just didn't have what Pica's pace had. But this looks good enough for the second best time going uphill. Second, 4,400's back. McRandle, he likes that. His young slider, the most successful Austrian female skeleton rider ever. And the Austrians are putting a lot of responsibility on her shoulders to make the sport more popular in that skiing-rich Austrian market.
Still just 24 years old, so she's got a lot of development in her still.
This is above Kreisel in the long straightaway, and look at the skid. Now she's trying to set herself up. She lost a little bit of time there. Now here comes down into our favorite part, the Kalstein curve. Look at the feet come out, and you could hear the noise in the live call. Look at that, bang. And then the big whip around right after that, the C curve. Challenges here in Königssee, but she's smiling.
Yes, she is. Next up is Great Britain's Lizzie Yarnold, our World Cup points leader. Looks like she is going to round out the season as the World Cup champion.
She would have to crash. And I don't even...
I'm not even going there, not with my predictive abilities this season.
Watch her technique, perfect, all the feet outside the lines. Great starter, like Noelle Pica's pace, the same build, and in her 3rd year of competitive World Cup sliding, she has emerged as one of the best. 60.4.
2012's Junior World Champion. What a season. Now let's see the bend away. Well, we call it straight, John, but the Americans refer it to the bend away. It's 3 long corners, really, and it's impossible not to hit the wall on a skeleton. 1:10.3, that's the slowest speed we've seen.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
She needs a good exit, and she's really in trouble below the Kreisel.
Well, this track's got a different personality than anything else on the circuit so far. Boy, she's way back.
Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, this isn't Sochi, but this has got a little personality into it. 4th best time. Very surprised with that. You know, that the stakes up above Kreisel were lethal to her time at the bottom because she hit 3 or 4 times. Noelle Pica's pace came through there with barely touching it. Very surprised at this time.
Yeah, didn't have the speed at the start and below the Kreisel.
I think that gives her the World Cup title, unofficially finishing in the first run. Look at here comes the bottom part of the exit of airborne here. Watch the bump. Oh, she's totally off her sled.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Watch this picture here. This is at 74 miles an hour. How do you like that? Andy Schmidt, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Coach, he knows.
He winces a little more than Lizzie does. She and her sled Mervyn are being weighed there. And the snow continues to fall here in Königssee for Sophia Griebel of Germany. The youngest of the German athletes, 23 years old, from the Oberhof track.
These athletes, when they hear that green bell, they'll get off as quickly as they can because it's snowing out. And snow is not a friend of your time at the bottom.
Especially when you're petite, and she definitely is.
She's not, Michelle, still petite.
No, she's one of our smaller athletes. Not using an FES sled, though. The Germans are starting to look at other equipment. 5:12 to get away.
She was really confused going into that first curve. She didn't know if she wanted to come from the left or the right. She came from right to left and lost all that start advantage. But Young, see how straight that is? That's Noelle Pikus pace.
That's good.
Contact. Watch her right through the middle of the blue lines here. Perfect. Little up and down there, a little adjustment, and now.
She was 2 kilometers an hour slower into the Kreisel than Noelle, but this could leave her in second place. Good run down to the bottom for Sabria Griebel. 5,900s behind, still only in 4th place on splits.
It's not a bad result for her, though.
4th place, just ahead of Marina Giardoni. So it's Noelle Pikus pace, the leader, from Janine Flock of Austria and Michelle Steele of Australia lying in 3rd.
She was 6th in Winterberg, she was 10th in St. Moritz, and 15th last week in Eagles. And I think the Germans thought that 6th place finish in Winterberg was going to be jump starter, but she's been going backwards, and this time puts her in a position, well, not where she wants to be. 4th place at the good starts. Wasn't too bad down here until the final part of this Kelstein curve. And watch it, does she get through here without touching? Yes, very clean, but her speed was gone before she got there.
Noelle Pikus pace, the race leader here in Königssee. Janine Flock and Michelle Steele, 2nd and 3rd. The 7th of our 24 athletes in the field is Catherine Eustace of New Zealand. Been confirmed this morning by the New Zealand Olympic Federation that Catherine and teammate Ben Sanford will head to Sochi. The 37-year-old physiotherapist just delighted to be going to the games.
4th place finish in Lake Placid, her first race in Lake Placid, best of the season. Got her 7th in Lake Placid in one of those two races that were held on that track, but has been out of the top 10 in all the other races. Last 2 weeks, 11th and 11th. She's hoping to get into the top 10, and you know, with her talent, she's a driver. She could, but you know, it's all coming up right here.
Here's the sled whistling as it comes past the cameras, 113 kilometers an hour, same as Sophia Griebel. But Noelle Pikus pace at 1:15.5, still the fastest, and really scrabbling there. You can actually see marks in the ice from the sled runners getting sideways.
72, boy, does she lose a lot of time in the Exeter Kreisel. Noelle Pikus pace, I would suggest all the rest of the athletes watch. 5th place isn't bad. I would suggest they watch the video of her going through there, because she was 2,500ths behind at the entrance to Kreisel and was over 6,800ths ahead at the bottom. That's a lot of numbers.
Canadian coach Scotty here with his wife and young baby, helping out with the smaller nations as well. Look at the marks she leaves here in the track. Big skid.
Hello. A little late here. Watch the mark here. This will give you a good idea of that. Yeah, it's not a straightaway. Look at her. Look at her trying to get herself righteous. That's in curve 12. Wow. They weigh all the sleds at the bottom. First run. They weigh selective sleds in the second run.
Big cheesy grin on the helmet of Shelley Rudman, a Great Britain last year's world champion in women's skeleton, and heading to her 3rd Winter Olympic Games in Sochi. Richard Bromley, the sled builder at Bromley Tech.
5th and 3rd the last couple times out. Only one non-top 10 finish. That was in the Lake Placid first race. And she seems like the calendar of the 2014 season now. She's starting to position herself to be a challenger for a medal in Sochi, and this is the present world champion.
You've got to start your season strong, but what you really want is to finish your season at the peak of the last 4 years, and that's the aim going to the games. Just 500ths of a second quicker than Noelle. That's decent speed. Now, that's the second quickest we've seen.
We'll see what she does down here in this little
Steering
challenge.
with
Not
the
bad,
knees,
only 2/10 back. This could be a second place run if she holds it. Speed in the bottom is decent.
Yeah, the chin piece chattering on the ice, 0.35 back.
Sixth best start, and she manufactures the third best time in the bottom, and I think Richard Brown would be very happy with that. Same exact start time as Janine Flock, and only 600ths behind her. And I think the snow accumulation in the track is going to start to take an effect on the race.
It might just do that. There's Dave, helping out with the sleds.
He gives all the information, the times. You know, look at the lines. A little high right through the middle of the first two, and how close does she get to the one there? Now back up. It's a big W effect, up and down, and then
The third pressure is the
look
killer,
at the
isn't it?
feet coming down to try and adjust, and now into our favorite visual probably in the whole season right here. Not bad.
And if you
pretty
think
good.
if you think a skeleton sled gets through there with trouble, wait till you see a four-man.
Yeah, I've been on the back of a four-man through there. Not pretty.
Next up, Anja Huber, the girl from Bischofswiesen, just outside of Berchtesgaden. This is her home track. Finished in a bronze medal position in this race last year. And of course, the European Championships, which means that any North American or non-European sliders won't count in that.
Boy, this is a big run for her season. She has just been in a slump. Her last four starts, 10th, 13th, 13th, 14th, and that's after a second place finish in Lake Placid, and Park City 7th and Calgary 5th, and it's like she went on vacation, because this isn't the Anja Huber we wanted or we expected. And this is a track she's very familiar with. She's won on numerous times. I think she won a world championship here.
Yep, 2008. She's heading to her third Winter Olympic Games. She was 8th in Torino. She took the bronze medal in Vancouver.
Marion Thies won the world championship here in 2011, her teammate.
Yeah, she won it in 11, that's right.
She won it in 8 at Altenburg. Boy, she's way back. And very, very perplexing to see an athlete with this resume. Look at Jens Muller. He looks on, and I'm sure there's nobody more confused about her results than he is. See the people on hand here. Again, she's a local girl.
A lot of noise for her down here.
And usually she's getting off the sled waving to everybody.
Mehr Schnee hätte ich auch nicht erwischen können.
Yeah, she found the snow all the way down the straightaway.
Look at the start. Look at her feet in and out of that groove. Good athlete as she launches herself onto the track. Her head down as long as she can. Now the grooves end, and she looks for her spot. Look how high her head's up here. Very surprised at that. Down on the finish. Look at her. Very surprised to see her head this far up. Little turn here on the exit. That's way down at the
Echo Vond's the final
Echo
one.
Vond.
Now here's our silver medalist in this race last year, Marion Thies of Germany. 29-year-old policewoman, again from the Oberhof track, and 2011 and 2009 world champion.
She did some magical speed things on this track in 2011 when she won the world championships. Watch this start. Well, maybe you don't want to. 10th best start of 10 athletes. And boy, she's like Noelle Pikus pace though. She can negotiate the bottom part of the track. She's 3/10 back. Speed, not bad. Not great though. Now watch the lines here. 54 back. Perfect.
Now you see some of the later sliders just pinballing all the way down the straight. She took the two tactical taps. 1:12.7.
Speed.
Not good enough yet.
Wow.
Let's see if she can get this nailed at the bottom.
She blew everybody away in this track
Look at
3
that.
years ago. Now it's
Straight through the S's, not even the threat of a wall there.
This is, you could see she's going slow. She was so far ahead of everybody in 2011 with that deficient start time, and I sit here very confused. Look at the coaches.
It was a
What
neat-looking
is-
run, but it wasn't fast at the
but
start.
she might have a better chance in the second round. I think the snow is taking effect.
Yeah.
Because she was too, look at her hands. She's not happy with it.
Yeah, I think that tells the story.
Listen, watch what she says. I mean, these are good lines. There's no skidding across the ice, but I think the snow and the tracks affected the speed because she was considerably, she was 2.5 kilometers down to Noelle Pica's pace at this point, and there's no other master of speed on the track than Marion Thies.
Marion lies in 8th place. She started 10th. And we may see later sliders struggle to find any pace here in Königssee. It is Noelle Pica's pace, our race leader, from Janine Flock and Shelley Rudman as the snow continues to fall. Just on the left of your shot, you can see Noelle Pica's pace's friends and family. Lots of big bobbleheads here. In fact, a whole new lot this year, or this week. Next up on the ice is Lucy Chaffer, the 30-year-old from Perth in Western Australia. 10th in last year's overall World Cup standings.
They play the music of the athlete, or from that country.
Yeah.
The land down under, they're playing.
Bit of men at work.
They do such a good job here at this track. If you ever get a chance, if you ever really want to see how to promote a bobsled, luge, or skeleton race, come to Königssee.
Good speed, 59.1.
They love their sliding here.
Tracks hard onto the straightaway.
That's not
Now
bad
then,
there, though.
look at the marks. You can see the marks through the fresh snow on the straight.
Speed, 111.6. That's 3 kilometers down.
That's
Noelle Pica's
4
pace.
down
So
on Noelle, yeah.
Noelle,
down
I
on
think,
the
was
average.
very fortunate to go number 2.
Oh, and skidding wildly down in the lower labyrinth.
Good form. Australians in their 3rd Olympic Games with this. They targeted women's skeleton, not men's, not bobsled, women's skeleton as a way to make a breakthrough in the sport. And they've got some good athletes in the field. And they've medaled. Michelle Steele's medaled once, at least on the World Cup circuit this year.
Yeah, she had bronze medal in the first race in Calgary. Lucy Chaffer, her best result, 8th place in the second race of the year in Park City, but lots of snow slowing them down.
Yeah, last 3 events, not too well. Look at her. Now, the head's down until they see the groove end. When the groove ends, then they're steering, so watch the head come up. Groove, as long as she can, she keeps that head down, the eyes are closed, and watch the head come up. Okay, I better start looking now. Now through the bottom part of our favorite Kelstein curve. Look at these pictures. She's a little airborne there.
Yeah.
They aren't tethered to the sled, so holding on for dear life.
Just as well sometimes. Next up from the USA, Katie Ulander, daughter of the standout baseball coach Ted Ulander, and heading into her 4th Winter Games.
Katie, of course, missed a couple races. Missed a race in Winterberg right after Christmas. Came back at St. Moritz with a 6th place. Last week, though, 12th place in Eagles, and I was surprised because she's very good at that track. She's only 1,300s down with the speed. No one can get above 113 speed. So she gets 113, 111.6. There's just no speed left in the track, and everybody else is going to scramble.
The problem with this snow is, like with your road car, is it actually slows you down. It sucks the energy out of the sled. It just creates drag, and drag is your enemy. And that means that top speeds are going to be lower the more snow in the track.
On a normal procedure, she's not a minute 10 down in Noelle Pica. Minute and a half down in Noelle Pica's pace. Look at Coach Tuffy Latour look on.
Well, now,
poor Katie's going to look just.
At some stage, the jury are going to have to look at whether anybody is going to stand a chance of an improvement. What happens here is the girls outside the top 20 essentially have no chance of going any faster than those inside, and so they are immediately destined not to make the cut.
But the top of the leaderboard is the top of the World Cup standings, except for Yarnold.
Yeah.
Yarnold is, but she went 5th, so she just had a bad run. But so to me, the leaderboard is full of World Cup people. Then when the World Cup people are affected, look at these pictures. But when the World Cup leaderboard is affected, that's when you start to think about, hey, this is not a fair race.
Well, even the girls who took bronze and silver last year are 5th and 8th.
What's
Katie.
up, man? Why are you so close to my face?
Because we love your hair, Katie. Next up, Rose McRandle, celebrating her birthday today, I couldn't possibly say years old. So happy birthday to the girl from Milton Keynes, former hockey player and last year's Intercontinental Cup champion, the second tier of sliding.
You know, the British just seem to keep bringing out these male athletes, especially the female. I mean, Britain has medaled in all 3 Olympic Games since skeleton became back on the Olympic calendar in 2002. Was it Comer? What was her name?
Yeah.
Salt Lake? Alexis? Alex Comer?
Yeah, Alex Coomber became Alex Hamilton.
Yeah, and then
She took the bronze.
Shelley Rudman in 2006. And then in 2010, Amy Williams won the gold, bronze, silver, gold, and I gotta believe that Great Britain's right in the mix for at least one, if not 2 medals.
Huge skids off the Kreisel. She was in all sorts of trouble into the labyrinth. The speed was very low anyway. And this is going to drop her right to the tail of the field, I'm afraid.
2 seconds, but that's a combination of track related, and she made a few mistakes all the way down the track.
Yes, she did. Well, that's not a happy birthday slide, I'm afraid, for Rose. Best result, 10th in Winterberg.
Be interesting to see what she says here. Not happy.
No. Well, look, even off the Kreisel, she's skidding sideways onto the wrong wall.
Yeah, she takes this corner really late. She has to cross over. She got no choice but hitting the wall. Yeah. Bang!
Well, in that case,
it's only at 74 miles an hour.
Yeah,
you know?
Now she's just been thrown from wall to wall by gravity. You can't steer fast enough on the skeleton to make an effect.
Look at those pictures. Scorpion, they call that when the feet come over the top. You talk about a little strain on your groins when you see that feet come over your top. That's 70+ miles an hour, too.
Here is our World Cup rookie, a debutante in the World Cup, Jane Channell from Canada. She is one of 2 Canadian sliders who are brought up on the Whistler track, the first time that has happened in the World Cup.
Got a 2-car sled. Look at the lines. You can see the line of the athlete right in front of her.
Yeah.
That's not good. I just really, it's almost...
Yeah, the moment you come out of that start shelter, you're straight into the snow, and the speeds are correspondingly low.
Well, we talked about how good Great Britain is in skeleton. Well, the Canadians, I think they're pretty good in that sport, too.
Yeah.
And the men took 1st and 2nd in Torino. Melissa Hollingsworth took a bronze.
First time ever on this track. She's had a couple of wild rides down through the labyrinth, and she's really trying to control it. Oh, in the Kreisel. You saw her skidding in the 3rd pressure of the Kreisel. Very wild. So she's had half a dozen runs down this track to try and learn its intricacies.
She's just, I hope she's not hurt, because the pictures are going to show
she's hanging on.
Violent. Coach.
There's Keith Loach, the coach, was due to be at the Junior Worlds this weekend, but Duff Gibson has gone back to Canada for a couple of days of rest. And so the Loach coach is here with these 2 young charges.
Wow, good to see her up and see if she's limping. See if no, she looks good.
She took a bit of a hit there, I think.
She looks
a bit winded from that, and I'm not surprised.
Well, if you want to get your child involved in skeleton, don't watch these pictures.
Watch her start skidding here. She realizes she's high and then drops down. And the 3rd pressure,
look at the skid there.
Yeah.
That is...
She's trying to hold it down.
Now she gets to come back up.
And in fact,
centrifugal
she
force.
held it too low.
Yeah, she's looking at, how do I get out of here? Look, that's the Scorpion we talk about. How she doesn't hurt her. That's at 65 miles an hour.
Shows you how flexible these athletes are. John, you and I would have been in traction after that. Yeah.
I mean, that's Keith Loach looking on at his athlete, hoping she's not hurt. And, you know, boy, their adrenaline's flowing now, but boy.
Next up, Olga Nikandrova of Russia, with the main Russian athletes back in Sochi preparing for the games. This 24-year-old from Krasnoyarsk steps up from the Intercontinental Cup to fill the void.
Yeah, she was in North America, though. She did make the cut in the first race, 22nd in Calgary, the 17th place in Park City.
It's only her 3rd time ever on this track, so her runs down this track are still only in the teens.
Those 4 S's up top, then this long bend around. It's not a straightaway. Then you got this little thing they call Kreisel. And out of Kreisel, then they got this little torture chamber called Kelstein curve.
Speed is low, and another scorpion exit down into that little lower S's. Nikanjeva 2 seconds back.
This is the first of 5 events this weekend.
Wow.
And it's a challenge for all the disciplines, especially those 4-man bobsleds.
57.06, just 0.04 of a second separating her from rookie Jane Chanel. So these two girls way at the tail of the field. They may not be the slowest.
There's a couple other athletes coming down there.
We've still got 10 more sleds to go. We've got one more complete rookie and some who are very inexperienced. Again, look at the skids.
This is, you almost don't want to watch. Look at this. Talk about the scorpion. That's when your feet come over the top of you.
So she's coming out the Kreisel, and the sled just goes up, not into a corner, but up onto the wall, the vertical wall of the track.
You think
Wild ride.
You think the track crew's got that section of the track covered?
No kidding. So Noel Piker's pace still with comfortably the quickest run. Janine Flock, Shelley Rudman, her closest pursuers.
Now remember, this is the European Championships, so Flock's in the lead. Rudman right there.
Yeah.
Michelle Steele, you throw her out. Griebel's in third for Germany.
Next up, Nozomi Komuro of Japan. And Nozomi, 28-year-old from Murata, a couple of 100 miles north of Tokyo.
She's right around that 18, 19, 20 mark all year. She missed the cut only once. That was in St. Moritz. Good start. Now it's all gone. And she went into the first S on the wrong entry mark. See how she comes out?
Well, they call that S's in German the Schlangengruber, the nest of vipers. And it certainly bites. She had a good run down the bend away, but already she looks slow. 107.4. Our leader was 115 through there.
She's got off the sled on the exit, but she gets through. She survives. The last 2 sleds were 4 seconds off the pace. She's probably only going to be 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. Looks like about 13th, 14th, 14th place.
Well, it's a tricky track, no question about that. And the snow is definitely not helping. If you drift out towards the walls down the bend away, then you are in the snow.
It's a wet snow too, so it's not a fine snow.
It doesn't blow out the way it sticks to the sled.
Now she got to come down below, but she's way down below that second line. In the third set of lines, she comes down again. Now she has to go back up and watch her. She comes off her sled here, a little skid there.
Yeah, again,
and
trying to
watch
hold
as
it
she
low.
comes out of her sled right here. She's on her side right there.
Hanging on, hanging on. So next up is Eiko Nakayama, 43-year-old journalist from Nagano in Japan, was inspired by the '98 Winter Games in her home city to not just write about the sport, but to get involved, and has not left since. You have to think, though, this is probably the last time we will see her racing in a World Cup. She's been only an occasional World Cup race the last couple of years. Before last week, her last World Cup race was January 2010.
She did make the cut in St. Moritz, the only of the 3 races. This is her 4th race. The previous 3 races, she made the cut once, and on the historic track of St. Moritz.
Well, that's where her experience overcomes her lack of speed at the start. Again, she has plenty of ice experience. She gets a good run down the bend away, working hard to stay out of the edges. 105.8 though. That's her second slow speed, and again, really steering hard.
Watch out here, she's really late. She gets through there. Well, sure, she just took a deep breath.
Yeah.
Now the question is she got a good enough time so she'll qualify for a second heat? Looks like she's going to be about 14th herself. 15th? There it is,
15th it is, so she is just between teammate Nozomi Komuro and Olga Nikancheva of Russia.
She's only got to beat 2 more slides to qualify. She might be thinking, I hope I don't qualify for the second run.
No, they all want to have a run because they're all hoping that the weather will be less worse in the second run.
Now, down below that second line, back up,
pressure.
and then watch the sled skid. Now she's trying to look at her skid across, trying to get off the curve.
Didn't control that second pressure, and she was just yo-yoing all the way up and down the wall.
When we get a chance to see Noelle Picus's pace run through there again, put it on a split screen, how she gets through there like that and everybody else struggles so much. The only other person was Marion Thies, but she didn't have any speed.
Joske Leconte of the Netherlands, the 18th of our 24 sliders. Another athlete did practice, Camilla Breyer of Bulgaria, but she will not be starting. Didn't complete enough runs in training.
So the last 2 weeks, Joske Leconte has qualified for the second run both times, her 20th and 18th place.
Windmill in Amsterdam.
They do such a great job here. Ooh, you're talking about hitting everything in sight before the S's. Now the snow is...
Yeah, really starting to snow heavily now. This is very difficult for the later running athletes. You can easily see the tracks that are being left in the snow. The jury now are really at a difficult juncture because it is clearly not the same as it was, but we are almost at the end of the run, but you are almost automatically disadvantaging anyone who goes later. It is an outdoor sport, John, but sometimes you've got to look at the weather and say, it's not fair, it's not a level playing field.
About the World Cup, everything's staying. That's just about where she would finish in the, well, they're playing that Tulips in Amsterdam song, as you said, but that wasn't a Tulip ride. That was a challenge coming down the track. But, boy, you know, the thing is, I look at the leaderboard, and I look at all the way right through 18, and everybody is in the same place they normally are. And Michelle Steele's in 4th place.
The gaps are just much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it all the way down, it's pretty much, you know, Steele is in 12th place in the World Cup standings. That's probably the only surprise, and she went early. Look at these lines. Good form there in the S's, but she had some real mistakes up top before the S's.
Well, Jane Chennell, the rookie from Canada, was probably lucky that her Intercontinental Cup ratings had her so high up the order. She got a decent start draw.
Yes, but she was a good start time. 7th best start.
Next up, Elena Galieva of Russia. And 29-year-old from St. Petersburg, started as a bobsleigh brakewoman, and in the 08-09 season competed both as a brakewoman and as a skeleton slider in the same race weekends. And then she was persuaded to stop doing that bobsleigh thing.
Well, the reason she's in this race is because the top Russian athletes are over that place to probably train in a track called Sochi. And so they've got the Europa Cup team here in the European Championships. And start time, 11th best start.
Decent speed.
Look at the snow.
Look at the snow. Not only can we not see the mountains in the background, John, we can't even see the houses a couple of 100 yards across the meadows now. The visibility is way down out of our window.
6 kilometers.
And in real trouble.
Uh-oh, Scorpion there.
Yeah, and there goes all the speed. That's why the bottom is not so dramatic now, is because they're not going through there at 75 miles an hour. They're going through there at 65 miles an hour.
Echo Juan, she came out of there pretty early. Well, and you're going uphill there, so she lost 2 seconds, a second and a half on the bottom. So that puts her in 15th place. She'll get a second run.
She will, guaranteed.
She lost 50 hundredths at least down there in that Echo Juan spot. You thought it was all over. She got through all that trouble.
And then she hasn't even got enough momentum to get up to the finish area.
That's all because you exit Echo Juan going uphill. Boy, you make a mistake there. It just erases any speed. Here's a little Scorpion. And gets back, look at the kids. You know, look how close you can get to the track. And here it's 70 miles an hour.
Well, yeah, it was
here's
for the
problem.
fastest.
Look how high she gets, way above that line, comes down too early. She almost hits the inner wall.
Oh, she just missed it.
This is uphill. You can't see it on TV. Uphill.
Yeah. Well, they are now going about 5 miles an hour slower than they were at the beginning of the run. Well, the third of our Russians is Anastasia Novikova, and she's just 19 years old from Krasnoyarsk. This is her first season in competition outside of Russia. She raced here 2 weeks ago in the Europa Cup, which is the third tier of sliding.
Start. Not very good, surprising, because any young Russian slider coming out you think would have an awesome start time. Yeah. Why put any money in somebody who can't start the sled? That's what I always say. Anybody coming new, are you a good athlete? Can you start? You want to start like Maria Giardoni from Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, plus, she's only 5'5", official weight 57 kilos, 120 pounds.
She looked about 110 when she was getting her head shot.
Yeah. So she's very petite, very slight, and has got no start. You wonder why exactly they're bringing a 19-year-old with none of the attributes you'd expect.
Well, especially because of what we've seen from some of the other Russian athletes that have emerged with great starts. This looks like she will not get a second run.
Well, she is at the tail of the field, 5 seconds back.
Well, there's 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds of that is the snow.
Yeah. Well, only her second time ever on this track. And first season of sliding. Here's the second wave, way up to the woodwork, doesn't control it at all. And the third one then, she's trying to steer hard, comes down and thrown right back up to the woodwork.
Look at the foot come over and touch. That's the second person we've seen do that. This, what kind of athlete are you? What does that do to your groins and your hips? Look, her hips are on the ice.
Now
Look
she
at
has
those.
to haul herself back on the sled.
Hello.
Yeah. There it's just about survival. Well, there is Anastasia Novikova. And next up is our second debutante. In fact, our third, because Novikova's not had a World Cup start either. This is Giulia Carpin of Italy. Just 23 years old from Padua, a former sprinter and long jumper. But in fact, she competed in last year's World Championships before she'd even started a World Cup race.
21st best start. Wow. It's not how to do it.
Coached by ex-skeleton slider Danny Lucati. Again, now even the cameras are struggling to see the athlete coming out of the dark at the bottom of the S's.
Snow looks like, though, it's not as wet as it was before, so maybe it's getting colder.
No, it's settling on the roofs. 52.2 kilometers an hour. Now, if that reading is right, that is half the speed we were seeing from our top sliders. Not 70 miles an hour, but 35 miles an hour.
I think there's something wrong with the clocks.
Sure, yeah, I think there's something in the clocks, some snow in the clocks.
Yeah, the clock
speed is not right.
The speed's not right. 20th best
There's Danny Lucati. 57.65, so she has pushed Novikova out of the race with 24 starters and only 20 spots in the race. She won't know yet that she's in unless she's looked up at the big scoreboard. So she is in the race. Joska LeConte in 19th, Jane Channel of Canada in 18th. Look at the focus here.
Yeah,
look at her eyes.
Really trying.
You can see the grimace on her face and the marks left in the snow.
A lot of challenges, even at the top of the track, to position yourself.
Well, onto the bend away, you'd see the snow flurrying up if there wasn't so much snow still falling. She's right in all the thick stuff, and that just is like putting the brakes on. But she is in the race at the moment. So there, Giulia Carpin, 20th spot. 22nd of our 24 sliders, Michaela Glaser of the Czech Republic, former German slider. She went to high school with Marion Thies, in fact. They were reminiscing yesterday afternoon of how they came up together. They've known each other for over 20 years. Look at the marks in the snow, though. That's going to make Michaela's job really tough.
Can't go to the Olympics in the Czech Republic, where she's been sliding for the last 4 years because she doesn't have a passport. And she can slide in the World Cups.
In fact, this will be her last regular race this weekend. She is going to take effective retirement for the sport and concentrate on work back home in Zurich. 101 kilometers an hour.
Watch out.
Oh, it's all about trying to make the second heat.
She's got a lot of experience on this course.
At the moment, she is in the race, and she will bump Julia Karpin. Can she hold it together at the bottom?
Maybe not, maybe
22nd place. No, she's out, and she doesn't have the speed anymore. And that is 21st. She will not make the second heat. So Michaela Klesser, always very smiley, very enthusiastic, but I think that may be the last time I talk about her regularly on the ice.
Doesn't get all the way up, but that's a lot to the snow.
Just look at how much it's snowing. When we see the shots of Noelle Piker's pace, it went off second. It'll look like a summer's day in comparison.
There's the exit of the big Kreisel curve, and now we're into the little play box area on this track they call the Kelstein curve. Look how close the spectators can get.
So there is Michaela. And our final two athletes travel and race together very frequently. First up from Spain, Maria Montellano.
Very pleasant. Yesterday, a couple days ago when I talked to her.
Yep, came and raced in the World Championships last year in St. Moritz. She's been on the Intercontinental Cup all season. Now competing in this European Championships.
18th best start, and she's struggling.
Yep.
At the top of the track.
Well, when you hit the snow with one set of runners, it just drags you sideways.
She's late in the first S, later in the second S, later in the third, and then the fourth. Comes out and taps. Now she comes down this unshoveled straightaway.
You can clearly see the marks in the snow. 97.8. This is going to make it very difficult to make it into the second heat. 18th at the start.
68 the time.
21st at the moment. She has a tidy run through the last couple of corners. If she makes no mistakes here, she might just make the 20. No, she's going to be too far behind, I'm afraid. She needed to be under the 5-second mark at the bottom. 23rd for Maria.
McRandle helping out. Just looks on. And
Montellano with a long walk up to the finish. Very slight, her and the next girl, Sarah Lavrencic.
To start, you can't make these mistakes at the top of the track. Look at the grooves from the previous sled.
5'5" from Barcelona, very light, and she's saying, yeah, as soon as you hit the snow, you get sideways, and it's out of your hands. And our final slider from Slovenia, Sarah Lavrencic. Well, if Maria Montellano of Spain got in because of Anda Mirambel, Lavrencic was brought in by Ance Shetina, the men's slider from Slovenia. A friendship, when she met him, ended up with her becoming an athlete as well in skeleton.
See if her feet stay inside the line. A little bit crossover.
You talk about petite athletes, 5'2", Sarah, 158.
And the 24th best start.
Yep.
Well, at least she didn't tap the wall left or right. And now she goes into the S's with a pretty good line. Exit. Here are these S's, slingshot effect.
Form is good, but look at the snow coming up like water spray off a boat. Just ploughing through that slow 97 kilometers an hour. The
Boy,
speeds
really
are just
low.
getting lower.
Really, she's skidding. Watch out here. Very, very uncomfortable there in the Kreisel.
Well, part of the problem is they haven't got enough speed to hold them up on the line that they want to take.
Very noticeable.
And the sled just drops. That's part of the drama with the straight. It's not been swept all race, and there is no speed to carry you on the line through the corner, so you fall down the wall.
24th place out of 24 athletes. She had the 24th best start time, 24th best down time. There's not a lot of top of that leaderboard that's perplexing to me. I mean, Marion Thies is ranked 6th in World Cup points. She's in 8th. Giardoni, she's ranked 8th in World Cup points also, and she's there in 9th place. But here, you said, Mark, doesn't have enough speed to get on top of those lines. And
she knows where she wants to go, but look at this, the sled just drops down the wall.
Away. Not enough centrifugal force to keep it there.
So she's a light athlete, she hasn't got enough speed, and it can't hold the line for her. She knows where she wants it to go. Gravity was against her. Well, Noel Piker-Space, second out of the start shed. Look at the view that she had of the track.
Well, she
Lightly
was
falling snow,
magical.
but she
right
had
here.
a great run.
This is where this is a skeleton 101. How to get through this Kalstein curve. Look at her. I mean, everybody else is having problems here. A little bit of a body lean. Look at that line.
Yeah, good
we
lines.
didn't see any lines like that after her.
Didn't win last year by accident in the snow, and she's not leading this year by accident in the snow either. Noel Piker-Space, our race leader after the first of our 2 heats here in Königssee, Bavaria. She leads by 4/10 from Janine Flock of Austria, Shelley Rudman lying right behind her in 3rd, then Michelle Steele of Australia, Sophia Griebel and Anja Huber. And don't forget, you take out Noel, you take out Michelle Steele, so the European champs, it's Janine Flock, Shelley Rudman, Sophia Griebel and Anja Huber tied behind for the bronze medal in the European Championships. So that could be a very entertaining second heat. Fastest 20 will go in reverse order. Julia Karpin makes the field on her debut, as does Jane Channel of Canada. Out though, Michaela Glesser, Anastasia Novikova, Maria Montejano, and Sara Lavrencic of Slovenia. So those 4 will join the rest as the track workers now get to clearing out some of that snow. It's still falling hard here in Königssee. Join us for the second heat, when we will find out who will win the European Championships 2014.